Municipal Water. Welcome to West Basin Municipal Water District Water Policy and Legislation Committee and Special Meeting of the Board of Directors. It's April 20th. It is now 1:01. Calling this meeting to order. Do we have a quorum, Mr. General Manager? Can you please call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Director Don Deere. Here. Chairwoman Gloria Gray.
Here.
Director Scott Houston. Director Tommy Favai. Here. Director Desi Alvarez. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Item 3, public comment. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
We've not received any requests from the public prior to the meeting, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak under public comment, please indicate so by raising your virtual hand. And Madam Chair, I do not see any requests.
All right. Thank you very much. Item 4, presentations. Do we have any presentations?
Staff has no presentations.
Thank you. Item 5, action calendar. Mr. General Manager, please introduce item 5, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item 5A is to authorize an agreement for assignment of non-consumptive water use permits to any oil and gas and Stouffer Management Company. And for this presentation, we do have Matt Bay, our Manager of Water Policy and Resources Development.
Thank you, EJ, and good afternoon, Chair Gray and directors. The presentation begins on page 8 of the agenda packet. This is an item that staff presented as an informational item in February and then as an action item in March. Last month, the item was approved by this committee and recommended to go to the board on the consent calendar for final approval. However, prior to the board meeting, staff pulled the item to accommodate some minor edits to the language in the agreements on the advice of our legal counsel. The updated agreement was reviewed and approved by WRD and is now ready for final approval by the board of directors. Because I have presented this item on a few occasions previously, I plan to give an abbreviated overview. However, I'm more than happy to go into more detail if the committee wants me to review any part of the presentation in more depth. Otherwise, I think we can go ahead and skip to packet page 15. So most of this timeline has been presented last month. However, I updated it just to show that West Basin's and WRD's legal review that occurred during the month of March. So you can see that toward the bottom there. Going to the next slide, you can see that with committee and board approval this month, West Basin will be able to execute the agreement for assignment of the non-consumptive water use permits with each of the 2 requesting parties, Stouffer Management and any oil and gas. Once that's done, the final step is to execute acknowledgement letters with each of those 2 agencies and then notify WRD. Once that's complete, the permits would then fully go into effect for that 5-year period. So if we can move to the last slide, I'd like to reiterate the staff recommendation. And that's that the board authorized staff to execute agreement for assignment of non-consumptive water use permits with any oil and gas and Stouffer Management Company, LLC. That concludes my report. Again, if there's any parts of the presentation that you would like me to revisit, I'm happy to do that. And otherwise, I'm happy to take any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Are there any questions, board members?
Chair. Yeah, Chair.
Yes.
This is Director Favai. I have a question.
Yes.
Matt, the company, any oil and gas, where are they located?
So I think there's a slide in the presentation that'll provide that information.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think Desiree might be bringing it up. 14. Yep. 14. Okay, yeah, and any oil and gas, so they're the current property owner and responsible for the cleanup that's happening at the site there in Carson. Their headquarters is in Houston, Texas. And as you can see there, yeah, they're performing that site was closed a while back, so they're performing the post-closure groundwater treatment and monitoring.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. They're great. It's the only questions I have.
All right, thank you, Director Deere. Do you have any questions?
No, just move approval.
All right, thank you. I agree. If we can move that item with the recommendation. All right, can you go to 5B, please? Thank you, Matt, for the presentation. Go
Thank
on.
you.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. Item 5B is to adopt a support position on Assembly Bill 2777. For this presentation, we have Augustine Hahn, our Water Policy and Resource Development Analyst 2, and this item begins on packet page 67.
Thank you, EJ. Chairwoman Gray, Board of Directors. I'll direct your attention to page 70 of the agenda packet for the presentation. We can move to the next slide, please. AB 2777 is a committee bill. It was introduced by the Assembly Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials Committee on February 24th. Just as a heads up for you, flag that Assemblymember McKinner, a West Basin delegation member, is one of the committee members. This bill is intended to provide flexibility to stabilize the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. This bill is sponsored by Water Reuse California and the California Sanitation Agency Association. And also just wanted to give an update to the board that due to the timing of hearings related to this bill, staff signed on to a coalition letter in support. But staff is bringing this back to the board for an official position with a support recommendation. Next slide, please. A bit of background, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, or the or SRF, provides a low interest loan to public agencies for water quality and recycled water projects. SRFs, the Clean Water SRF and the Drinking Water SRF, utilize funding from various sources that can include federal infrastructure funds, voter approved bond measures, the state general fund, or also what is referred to as the revolving portion of the SRFs, which is basically the loan interest that revolves back. The bill seeks to provide more flexible loan terms, removing the $50 million cap on projects, and also adjusting interest rates and terms associated with these loans. AB 2777 would define in code, would also define in code the term incidental runoff that was included in SB 31 from last year. Next slide, please. The current status of the bill is that it passed the Assembly's Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials Committee, and it now awaits action in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Supporters of the bill are listed on the slide, but they include obviously Water Reuse and CASA, but also the California Municipal Utilities Association, the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts, Las Virgenes, Western Municipal Water District, Inland Empire Utilities Agencies, and other water sanitation agencies. I'll also note that the bill had no opposition on file. And then we can move to the next slide, please. As far as benefits to West Basin, West Basin is a leader in recycled water, and we celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. This policy also aligns with board adopted legislative priorities, and it really provides additional flexibility and provides an opportunity to modernize the Clean Water SRF loan program. And so with that, staff is recommending that the board adopt a support position on AB 2777. Can answer any questions.
Thank you, Augustine. Are there any questions directed there or Director Savai?
No questions.
I just move we support it.
All right, I agree. So we move the 5B with the recommendation of support. 5C, please.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, item 5C is adopt a support position on Assembly Bill 2215. And again, for the presentation, we have Augustine Hahn, and the item begins on packet page 76.
Thank you, Vijay. Committee members, the presentation begins on page 79 of the agenda packet. So we'll get started. AB 2215 is introduced by Assemblymember Lisa Calderon, a Democrat from the Whittier area, on February 19. I'll also note for you that this bill lists as a co-author Assemblymember Irwin, who is also a West Basin delegation member. The bill is intended to provide an extension for water rights associated with the state water project. The bill is sponsored by the state water contractors, and Metropolitan Water District has identified this bill as one of their top priorities this year. This bill, like the last one, due to the timing of hearings, staff signed on to a coalition letter, but staff is again bringing this back to the board for an official position with a support recommendation. Next slide, please. Just for background, DWR filed for a time extension on these water rights 15 years ago. The application was never processed by the State Water Resources Control Board. The delay is hindering DWR's ability to modernize the state water project and plan for climate change. Just will note for you that the bill does not approve any future project or change in state water project operations. It just aims to extend the timeline to perfect the water rights. Next slide, please. As far as the current status, the bill Assembly Water Parks and Wildlife and is now awaiting action in Assembly Appropriations. And to give you an idea of the support behind this bill, we mentioned Metropolitan Water District this is one of their top priorities. And I'll also note that many of their member agencies and other water agencies are in support of this bill. Water industry associations and local chambers of commerce have also voiced their voiced their support for this bill. However, it's important to note that Aqua has not yet taken a position on this bill. And plan to take it up in a future meeting. As far as the opposition on this bill, there was noted in the latest analyses that Delta and environmental interests have voiced their opposition to this bill. Next slide, please. As far as a benefit to West Basin, imported water is a primary supply for the West Basin service area. This policy aligns with the board adopted legislative priorities. And most importantly, this bill preserves future ability to utilize rights. And at the same time, does not approve any new conveyance facilities that might be of concern to some. And for those reasons, the staff is recommending that the board consider adopting a support position on AB 2215. Happy to answer any questions.
I'll move we support it.
Are there any questions or just support moving it forward? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move it forward. Thank you. Thank you, Augustine. Then we'll go to, I think it's 5D.
That's correct. Item 5D is adopt a support position on Assembly Bill 1893. And for the presentation, again, we have Augustine Hahn, and this item begins on packet page 85.
Thank you, Vijay. This is the third of the four bills that we have before you today. Go ahead and get started on the next slide, please. So AB 1893 was introduced by Assembly members Gallagher, a Republican out of the Pico area, and Assembly member Schultz from the Los Angeles area on February 12th. This bill intends to expand the CAL FIRE Local Assistance Grant Program to include the installation of helicopter dip tanks, which would make these types of projects eligible for Prop 4 funding. The bill is sponsored by the Center Valley Water District and Paradise Irrigation District, and staff is recommending a support position on this bill. Next slide, please. Just as a bit of background for you, Prop 4 was the $10 billion climate bond. Of those 10 billion, 1.5 was set aside for wildfire and forest resilience. And then of the 1.5 billion, 185 million was for CAL FIRE's Local Assistance Grant Program. That Local Assistance Grant Program received $81 million in funding in round 1 last year, leaving about $100 million for round 2 and any future years. And just to reiterate, this bill would make helicopter dip tanks eligible for funding under this program. Next slide, please. And just as far as the current status, this bill passed Assembly Natural Resources and the Emergency Management Committees, and now awaits action in Assembly Appropriations. The supporters for this bill include water agencies and special districts. For example, Las Virgenes Municipal Water District, Wesker Municipal Water District, and Walnut Valley Water District are listed in support, as well as Aqua and the Southern California Water Coalition. There is no opposition on file at this time. Next slide, please. As far as the benefit to West Basin service area, West Basin service area has experienced wildfire incidents in the recent past, including the Palisades and Woolsey fires. This bill would allow local communities to access Prop 4 funds for critical wildfire suppression projects. You might recall that Metropolitan Water District held a ribbon cutting at their dip tank in the PV Reservoir, I believe it was last year. And we'll just share with you that staff is aware of some interest from Palos Verdes Estates about another dip tank. And so we all know that wildfires also create water quality impacts and changes to watershed hydrology, and also impacts to ocean water quality in the area. And so for those reasons, staff is recommending that the board adopt the support position on AB 1893.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'll just
Director
comment.
Dare, come on.
Okay, great.
Go ahead, you're next.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to mention, I'm glad to see that West Basin is part of the support. Just going to the ribbon cutting at the PV dip tank. I think that's a great thing. And then, maybe future cities getting on board to, allocate monies for their future dip tank in their area. That's always great. So I'm just happy that West Basin is a part of it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Savai, for those comments. Director Dare, we can move it forward with the recommendation.
That we support, yes.
Yes. Thank you. So we do move it forward with the recommendation to support. All right, 5E, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, this brings us to the final item on our action calendar. 5E is adopted support position on Assembly Bill 2739. And again, for the presentation, we have Augustine Hahn. And this begins on page 93.
Thank you, EJ. Committee members, this is the fourth of the four bills that we have before you today. If you can move on to the next slide, please. AB 2739 was introduced by Assembly Member Soria, a Democrat from the Fresno area, on February 20th. This bill is the latest water industry effort to address low-income water rate assistance, otherwise known as LIRA. This bill would establish the Water Affordability and System Stabilization Trust, or a funding mechanism to generate ongoing funding for a LIRA program. This bill would direct those funds to a water rate assistance fund, which is more or less a LIRA program, and then also a community water affordability program, which would fund projects for water agencies. This bill is sponsored by Irvine Ranch Water District and Rancho California Water District. And they actually reached out to West Basin with a request for our support on this bill. Staff is recommending a support position on AB 2739. Next slide, please. Just for some additional background, finding a compromise on statewide low-income rate assistance program has been a legislative topic of discussion for over the past decade. Last year, water agencies engaged on SB 350, an environmental justice sponsored bill. And so the result of those negotiations have been reintroduced this year in a separate bill in SB 1125. This bill, AB 2739, proposes to address any remaining water industry concerns. And the sponsors have indicated that they plan on merging these two bills. And so we are asking for a support position from the West Basin Board on the water industry proposal. Next slide, please. The current status of this bill is that it has passed Assembly Water Parks and Wildlife and is now in Assembly Appropriations. The support around this bill includes water agencies such as Three Valleys Municipal Water District, Upper District, and Western Municipal Water District. This also has support from our industry associations such as AQUA, California Water Association, which handles IOUs, and then also the Southern California Water Coalition and Cal Chamber. There is no opposition on file at this point. Next slide, please. And as far as benefit to West Basin, this is in line with past board actions. You can see that we've listed some of the positions that the board has taken on similar bills in the past. And it also aligns with the board adopted legislative priorities. And so for these reasons, staff is recommending that the board adopt a support position on AB 2739.
I move we do so.
Director Gray, I have a question for
Yes,
staff.
I'm here. Yes, please.
Augustine, I had a question. Can you go back to the where it mentions both legislative bills and how they're merging both of them together? Can you expand on that a little bit and why they're merging them together? Is it one because one of them is like strengthening the other bill, or is it adding more additional things to it?
Yeah, thank you, Director Spot, for that question. And yeah, just a little further background here. SB 1125, as I mentioned, was the result of the negotiations from last cycle in SB 350. What I can say is that the water industry still has some concerns with the language in SB 1125. And so this bill kind of seeks to address some of those other concerns. Some of those are being a funding mechanism. So having a durable and progressive funding source for programs such as these, and then also how those monies are spent. Does that money go directly to ratepayers, or can that money be used to fund water agency projects that will ultimately make the cost of water cheaper for their customers? And so there are also some other, technical concerns that were voiced with the SB 1125 bill. And so Yes, the sponsors of AB 2739 have committed to working with the sponsors of the other bill.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. That's it, Director Gray.
Thank you. All right, we can move it forward with a recommendation to support. All right, thank you very much for all the presentations. We'll go to item 6, information calendar 6A, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item 6A is our monthly state and federal legislative update. For the presentation, we do have Augustine Hahn as well as Matt Bay presenting, and the item begins on packet page 102.
Thank you, BJ. Directors, I'll direct your attention to the slides that we have, beginning on page 131. Next slide, please. So for the first update, we have an issue regarding golden mussels. Golden mussels were first detected in the Delta in October 2024. These golden mussels are highly reproductive. They're surface clinging and pose significant risks to clogging infrastructure, disrupting water flows and degrading ecosystems, with broad economic impacts on water delivery, agriculture, hydropower, recreation, and public water systems. We've added a photo there to the slide just to kind of give you a visual of the impact of golden mussels on water delivery infrastructure. Currently, eradication of these mussels is not currently feasible. Rather, the state is focusing on containment of the mussels. The governor's budget proposal for fiscal year 27 asks for 8 permanent positions and also proposes to use $20 million from Prop 4 to begin addressing this issue. In addition, staff has been tracking 3 bills that relate to the issue of golden mussels that are making their way through the legislature at this time. Next slide, please. And just another update for you on Sites Reservoir. Sites Reservoir is the long plan Sites Reservoir has reached a major milestone. The State Water Resources Control Board issued a draft water permit in March that signals likely approval later this year and could allow construction on the roughly $6 billion project to begin as soon as late 2026 or early 2027. Just for your information, Sites Reservoir is a proposed off-stream reservoir which would divert water during high flow periods for use during dry times. This reservoir is located northwest of Sacramento and would have a capacity of up to 1.5 million acre feet. Slide, please. That concludes the state update, but I'll just note for you that there is a full bill report that can be found in your packet beginning on page 107, where you can find information about some of the bills that the board has taken positions on and other bills of interest. With that, I'll turn it over to Matt for the federal update.
Right. Thank you, Augustine. So just a couple of federal updates to share with the committee today. The first is just a reminder that West Basin will be in our nation's capital starting tomorrow and going through Thursday. We'll have more than a dozen meetings that are set up with our delegation, with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, with the Legislator of the Year award winners, and then other DC-based representatives from Metropolitan Water District, Water Reuse, as well as Aqua. And then speaking of the Legislator of the Year award, as you can see from the slide here, it will be presented to 5 members of Congress this week that you can see there. During these meetings, the advocacy team will provide insight into West Basin, into our many programs and projects, how we serve the multitude of diverse communities and industries in our greater service area, and then get into some more other topics of importance that include things that we know well, which is Pure Water Southern California, Recycled Water Program, and then the funding appropriation that the district is seeking for our Mosaic or the DCS project. Summary of the trip and photos will be shared out and provided to all the board members, as well as at next month's Water Policy and Legislation Committee. Next slide, please. This is the last slide in this presentation. So just a quick update on the Colorado River. And while we heard from one of Metropolitan's Colorado River experts earlier this month at the caucus meeting, new information came out last week from the Trump administration about this topic. So based on, just the bad conditions in the basin right now, there's record low snowpack, record high temperatures. It's pretty much eliminated all of, most of the runoff in the basin, or it's happening very early in the season, so there won't be much runoff later in the year, which is key to maintaining water levels at those key reservoirs on the Colorado River. Based on that, the Department of the Interior is taking more proactive measures to ensure that a sufficient water supply remains in the upper basin reservoir, which is Lake Powell. So the Lake Powell is kind of the one that's up in Utah, and then Lake Mead is the one that's down in Nevada, Arizona, California. The Bureau of Rec is planning to reduce the amount of water releases from Lake Powell, so keeping more water in there, while also increasing releases from another reservoir up north called the Flaming Gorge Reservoir that feeds into Lake Powell. So they're really trying to stabilize the water levels at Lake Powell. That will also allow them to maintain hydropower generation capabilities that could otherwise be lost should the water storage fall below those critically needed levels. The Colorado River operational guidelines are still set to expire later this year. And with the consensus from the 7 states not being a likely outcome, at least as we're hearing about it, recently, it's pretty clear that the government feels it's necessary to step in and help stabilize the situation. So as this unfolds, it's looking increasingly more likely that the Department of the Interior will determine how the river will be operated in the coming years. That's sure to bring about potential lawsuits and other conversations that will be uncomfortable for all 7 states in the future. And with that positive update, that concludes our report, and I'm happy to take any questions as well as Augustine.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions?
No questions?
No questions.
Directed? Thank you. All right, thank you. I think that was Matt that gave the presentation. Did we cover 6B or just 6A?
That concluded 6A. So our final information item is our monthly Metropolitan Water District update. And for the presentation, we have Tammy Hurley-High, our Senior Water Policy and Resource. The item begins
you.
on packet page 138.
Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Gray, Member Deere, and Director Farley. Happy to provide this update for you on metropolitan programs. And the report does start on page 138. And also we have presentation slides that begin on page 147 on the packet to help guide in the updates on this. So first off, we'll talk about the budget and rates. And during the this session where Metropolitan proposed their biannual budget and rates, the board members provided a lot of feedback. Staff reported on various alternatives to evaluate. And the alternatives included a variety of scenarios based on planning and final design for the 45 MGD Pure Water Stage 1 project. Also increasing ad valorem property taxes in order to fund a larger share of state water project obligations. Limiting conservation program funding to $30 million a year. And for LRP agreement would be to fund only the agreements that are already authorized. And also reducing new full-time staff positions. So you can see here in this slide, staff they have proposed 2 options for consideration. And option 1 would result in an overall rate increase of 6.2% for each year. That would include the Pure Water Southern California program funding from the grant agreement portion only. And then option two would result in an overall rate increase of 6.7% each year. That would include pure water funding up to $150 million to also support planning and final design of the 45 MGD stage one portion of that project. So the result was the board unanimously adopted an amended version of option one, which maintains an overall rate increase at 6.2% each year. So on the next slide, we'll look at the components of that amended version. Pretty lengthy here, but there are a lot of important details. First off, we have the 2-year budget increases the capital investment plan by more than $300 million for a total of $1,025 million. This would help address a backlog of projects to replace and refurbish their treatment and delivery system throughout the service area. $150 million appropriation to continue planning and design work on the pure water program for stage one. A one-time draw from unrestricted reserve not to exceed $58 million, which would be used towards the final design of pure water. And they included a component that if the reserve should fall below minimum, then the staff would come back to the board to let them know and also share other options for further consideration. The fourth component was an appropriation of $16 million for pure water for the final design from federal grant sources. In addition, the pure water program would be reviewed under the Climate Adaptation Master Plan for Water Implementation Decision. And staff was also directed by the board to conduct a market study for the sale of 2 Delta Islands for board review. So I'll pause there. That's pretty much the update on the biannual budget and rate. If there's any questions, you can let me know before I move on to the other items.
Any questions?
No question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Go on, please.
Thank you very much. So on the next slide, please. We have a program here called the Operational Shift Cost Offset Program. The board authorized this program. It is designed to assist member agencies when they incur additional costs by shifting their imported water supplies from the State Water Project to Colorado River connections and respond to any request that Metropolitan may make to a member agency. So how it would work is that Metropolitan would make a request to a member agency to take deliveries from Colorado River to the State Water Project. In the case of any emergencies, if there's low allocation on the State Water Project, they've also added additional components in this program to include other issues that may include nitrification events, emergency events, any extended shutdowns or other unforeseen water quality events.
And Tammy, I would just mention that during the last drought, West Basin was asked by the Metropolitan to shift its supply source from State Water Project to Colorado River sources, and the district did that at that time. However, I don't believe there was a program at that time. That
Correct.
something that we've done in the past.
Thank you, Matt. All right, next item, please. Or next slide, please. Thank you. Sepulveda feeder pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe rehabilitation program. This is just a brief update on the relining of the Sepulveda feeder Reach 2 as part of the PCCP rehabilitation program. So Reach 2 of the Sepulveda feeder will undergo installation of steel lining along 3.8 miles through several cities. In January 2026, the board awarded a construction contract to continue this work, and this project is expected to be complete by mid-2027. Next slide, please. So the post 2026 operational guidelines and the draft EIR. So as you are aware, the Bureau of Reclamation issued the draft EIR in January that launched a formal public review and comment period. The record of decision is anticipated for late summer, and that will include new operating guidelines for the next water year, which begins on October 1st. So Metropolitan did submit a comment letter to Reclamation by their deadline of March 2nd. And that letter covered a lot of information, including legal analysis and other deficiencies that were outlined in the draft EIS. More information can be found in that report, and then there's also a link in that report to show you where the letter is that they submitted. Next slide, please. So here's a slide just showing a few headlines that we've seen in the past month. So just a couple of months ago, I shared a report on how much rain we had and how much water supply conditions looking like it was really going to improve. Now we're looking at major heat waves and record-breaking temperatures. So it's resulted in a huge amount of snow melt. Next slide, please. Here is a look at the chart of Metropolitan. They provide this on a regular basis. And snowpack for Northern California and upper Colorado River Basin are both well below average. Near average precipitation fell in many parts of the state, including Northern California, but much of that, of course, was rain instead of snow. And so that led to one of the lowest April snowpacks on record. The snowpack did peak early in March, in some places later in February in Northern California, but it peaked early in March in both the Colorado River Upper Basin and the Northern California watershed. Due to the extremely hot and dry conditions throughout March, the snow melt came upon us several weeks ahead of schedule. So for the Colorado Upper Basin, the snowpack is now tracking below level compared to 2002, which that has been the lowest on the record. So, and as you heard what Matt had said earlier, we have some immediate notifications from the Bureau of Reclamation of what they plan to do to help maintain that level of Powell. Let's see. Yeah. So that operation, as Matt mentioned, is they will be releasing more water from upstream into Lake Powell, and then they will not be releasing as much water down to Lake Mead. So those actions are expected to increase Lake Powell's elevation by approximately 54 feet in elevation, or by 54 feet. So that total, they want to keep it above the 3,500 foot threshold elevation to maintain the hydropower and other operational areas that they need to rely on. So in conclusion, for this calendar year, Metropolitan still has record high storage supplies with demand estimated to be 1.44 million acre feet. And Metropolitan supplies are effectively balanced. They have a slight surplus of approximately 17,000 acre feet. So that concludes my report. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Tammy. Are there any questions, Director Deere or Pavai?
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
All right, thank you, staff, for all the reports this afternoon. Is there any closed session, Mr. General Manager?
We have no closed session items today.
Our next item, Director's comments and future agenda items. Director Deere?
No comments other than a very efficient meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Pavai?
Thank you. I just wanted to say to staff, thank you for the presentations. Very thought out. you know, incomprehensive, especially when it comes to, you know, the legislative conferences, and meetings that we have in Sacramento, and then the upcoming, legislative, meetings that you have. in DC. I know, I'm not able to join Director Alvarez at the conference, but I know he's gonna do well there with the staff, so.
Thank you, Director. Thank you to staff and the general manager. As always, all of you do extremely comprehensive reports. So thank you again. And so with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Director
Thank you.
Gray.
Thank you, all of you.